So today we're looking at this beautiful yellow flower called yellow bells. It is in the genus Fritillaria. It's in the lily family. And it's a pretty interesting flower because there's about 140 species of Fritillaria in the world, and only 6 of them are yellow or yellowish, so it's a pretty unique subgroup of them. This flower evolved about 38 million years ago, and they think that the ancestor was a purplish form flower. And most of the species in the world today are some form of purple or brown, and they often have a checkerboard pattern, which is very distinctive. So that's how most people know these. The yellow one, though, is unique, but it's widespread in the western United States. It can be found in Washington, California, Wyoming, Montana, even Alberta and British Columbia. And over that range, at times they've given it 6 different species. I don't know what the current status is for it taxonomically, but the 6 different forms range from 3 inches high to 14 inches high. Here in this landscape in north central Washington, we are familiar with this one that's only 3 or 4 inches high. And so we think this is the way it always looks, but it has a lot of variation even in leaf shapes. And this is one of the first flowers to come out in the spring. Even as the snow is melting from the ground, these begin popping out. I would say it is our first flower, and it comes out at a difficult time when it's so cold and there's still snow on the ground, and the only insects that are active at that time are bumblebees. Bumblebees have a thick furry coat on them that warms them up and allows them to fly. Matter of fact, one's flying through right now. And so they're able to fly amazingly. Out of the world's 140 species of Fritillaria, only 6 of them have had their pollinators documented. They think that these are pollinated by queen bumblebees, which makes sense because of the season, and also because of the fact that they're hanging down, they're nodding over, and that is specific for insects that are able to hover, and they're strong flyers that are agile enough to hover in space and then turn up and grab onto a flower that's hanging over and crawl inside of it to access what's inside. By hanging over, these flowers are hiding and protecting their pollen and their nectar and their flower parts. But once the bee, if it is a bee, gets inside, it is able to very clearly see a rich nectar reward. At the base of each flower is a little green spot which secretes a droplet of nectar. It's easily seen and it's easily accessed inside the flower. So it is a rich reward for an insect that knows it's there and is able to get to it. In fact, once you get inside the flower, that green spot shows up as a different color in the UV light spectrum, which is what insects see. And it's like a bullseye. Here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spots to come get nectar. And in the course of being in there, the bee is going to be touching the anthers, which are producing a yellow pollen. And then when they visit into the flower, they'll be touching the style, which is the receptive female part. And unique in this species is the fact that their style is a single united style. The other fritillarias in the world are like bilobed or maybe 3-lobed. This is the only one, maybe one of 2 in the world that's a single style that sticks out, which is another unique thing about this group. This hanging over aspect gives it its common scientific name, pudica, which refers to being bashful. It's hanging, it's hiding its flower parts. Another reason they think that it might be hanging over like this is because its nectar is exposed, it's not hidden. And so it would be an easy site for wind-borne nectar-eating bacteria to land and start devouring all the nectar before your pollinator can show up. So by hanging over and not being exposed to the wind, it allows them to protect their nectar from bacteria, which would be landing on it and eating it. Another thing that's unique about this flower, though you may not notice it unless you watch it for a long time, is that the petals remain on it after it's been pollinated. And I think that it's doing that because the petals are protecting it and shielding the growing embryo, the young developing seeds, from dangerous UV waves, and then also creating kind of a little warm oven in there so it's warmer, which makes it grow faster in the heat. Again, they're out when there's snow on the ground a lot of times, so being able to hold heat in there helps speed up the metabolism of the growing seed. Overall, just an amazing, fascinating flower.